In the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the relentless sun, the neighborhood of Willow Creek Estates hummed with the quiet rhythm of suburban life. Towering oaks lined the streets, their leaves whispering secrets to the wind, while children's laughter echoed from playgrounds and tennis courts. It was a place where rules reigned supreme, enforced by the iron-fisted Homeowners Association, led by Geraldine Pruitt, a woman whose name alone could silence a backyard barbecue. Geraldine, in her mid-50s, with sharp features and a perpetual scowl etched into her face, patrolled the community like a self-appointed sheriff. Her sandals slapped against the concrete paths as she marched, clipboard in hand, ready to cite any infraction from an overgrown hedge to a misplaced recycling bin. On this particular day, the air hung heavy with humidity, clinging to skin like an unwanted embrace. A group of children had gathered near the tennis courts, their bikes propped against the chain link fence, water bottles scattered like forgotten toys. Among them was Noah Desmond, an 11-year-old boy with a lanky frame that hinted at the growth spurt to come. His baseball cap sat backward on his head, shielding his eyes from the glare as he sipped from his bottle, chatting idly with his friends. They weren't causing trouble, just existing in the shared space of their community, trading stories about school and summer adventures. Geraldine spotted them from afar, her eyes narrowing like a hawk zeroing in on prey. She didn't hesitate. Her steps quickened, the slap of her sandals growing louder, more insistent. The children's chatter faded as she approached, her presence casting a shadow longer than the afternoon light. "You don't belong here," she snapped, her voice slicing through the air like shattered glass. Her finger jabbed accusingly toward Noah, who blinked in confusion, caught off guard by the venom in her tone. The other kids froze, exchanging uneasy glances. They knew Geraldine's reputation all too well. She was the one who stormed up to families over trivial matters, like the color of a mailbox or a basketball left in a driveway. But this, shouting at a child as if he were a criminal intruder, it was a new low, even for her. Noah, trying to maintain his composure, responded quietly, "Ma'am, we're just sitting here. We're not bothering anyone." His voice was steady, but a thread of confusion wove through it. He wasn't used to adults treating him this way, especially not in his own neighborhood. That only fueled Geraldine's fire. She stepped closer, her shadow engulfing him. "Don't you talk back to me, you're trespassing. You don't live here and you know it." A small girl beside Noah whispered, barely audible, "He does live here. His house is on Chestnut Drive." But Geraldine heard it, whipping around with eyes like daggers. "You hush," she barked, then turned back to Noah, her face contorted with rage. "Get up and leave before I call the cops." Noah didn't move at first, not out of defiance, but sheer stun. His parents had always warned him about people who let anger cloud their judgment, but he never imagined it would happen here, in this supposedly safe enclave. Slowly, he began to rise, not wanting to escalate the situation. But before he could fully stand, Geraldine's hand shot out, grabbing his arm with a grip far too tight for an adult on a child. She yanked him upward and shoved him backward with surprising force. No, a sneaker heel caught on the rough asphalt, and he tumbled, his elbow scraping against the pavement in a sharp, stinging burn that brought tears to his eyes. Gasps erupted from the other children. One boy shouted, "Hey, don't touch him." Another fumbled for his phone, fingers trembling as he hit record. Noah pushed himself up with his good arm, his face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and pain. "Why'd you do that?" I didn't do anything to you," he said, his voice cracking from frustration and fear. Geraldine loomed over him, arms folded across her chest. "Don't you talk back to me, boy. People like you need to learn respect." Those words hung in the air, heavy and loaded, carrying an undercurrent that the children understood all too well. The boy with the phone captured every second, the camera steady despite his racing heart. The whole scene unfolded in mere moments, but it felt eternal, a snapshot of unchecked authority clashing with innocence. Just then, Melissa Grant, a neighborhood parent out walking her dog, came jogging over, drawn by the raised voices. She pulled down her sunglasses, her eyes widening at the sight of Noah on the ground, his arms scraped and bleeding. "What is going on here?" she demanded, her tone brooking no nonsense. Geraldine stood her ground, unflinching. "He's trespassing." Melissa shook her head in disbelief. "Noah lives here. His parents moved in this spring. The house at the corner, you know that. Everyone does." Geraldine's lips pressed into a thin line. "That's not true. I check every new resident personally, and I've never seen his name on any list." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the children. One whispered loudly, "She's lying. Everybody knows his family's here." Noah, his voice trembling, added, "My dad's name is Calvin Desmond. We just moved from D.C." Melissa's eyebrows shot up in recognition. Calvin Desmond, as in Director Desmond. She crouched beside Noah, gently examining his arm, her expression turning icy as she glared at Geraldine. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Geraldine's face flickered with uncertainty for a split second, but she quickly masked it. "I don't care who he says his daddy is. Rules are rules. Kids like him can't just do whatever they want." Melissa's voice sharpened. "Kids like him, that's what this is about. You assaulted an 11-year-old in broad daylight, Geraldine, and don't think people didn't see it. You're finished." The boy recording spoke up, his phone still raised. "Don't worry, I got everything, every word." Geraldine spun toward him, eyes blazing. "Delete that right now, or you'll regret it." But the boy stood firm. "My mom's a lawyer. I know my rights." For the first time, Geraldine's composure cracked, her breathing uneven. "You kids are making a mistake. You don't know who you're dealing with." Melissa shook her head. "No, Geraldine, you don't know who you're dealing with." A heavy silence fell over the group as Geraldine turned and stormed back toward her house, muttering under her breath. But with each step, she felt more eyes on her, and the boy's recording continued, capturing the beginning of what would unravel her world. News traveled fast in Willow Creek, a gated community where gossip flowed like the sprinkler systems watering the lawns. By the time Noah made it home, his scraped arm throbbing, half a dozen neighbors were already buzzing about the incident at the tennis courts. Melissa Grant stood at the end of her driveway, dog leash in one hand, phone in the other, replaying the shaky video. "I can't believe she did this," she muttered, though loud enough for Patricia, Nolan, and her friend across the street to overhear. "Did what?" Patricia asked, a resident in her late 50s who had called Willow Creek home for nearly 2 decades. Melissa turned the screen, and they watched in horror as Geraldine yanked Noah's arm, shoving him to the ground, her words echoing, "Kids like you need to learn respect." Patricia's jaw dropped. "Oh my God," she said, that loud enough for every kid there to hear. Melissa nodded. "And now the whole internet will too. That video's already moving." On another corner, teenagers clustered, passing phones like contraband. My cousin reposted it on Twitter. One said, "People are going crazy in the comments." Inside the Desmond home, Noah sat at the kitchen island, his arm cleaned and wrapped in gauze by his mother, Dr. Lillian Desmond. She glanced toward the front window, sensing the growing whispers outside. "Noah, tell me exactly what happened," she said gently, brushing his hair. "We were just sitting there. She came yelling. I told her we weren't doing anything, but she grabbed me and pushed me. I didn't even talk back, Mom." Lillian exhaled slowly. "I believe you, and now she's going to answer for it." She typed a message on her phone just as the garage door opened. Calvin Desmond entered in a plain button-down and slacks, looking like any other dad, but his role as FBI Director made him anything but ordinary. He spotted the bandage and the tension immediately. "What happened?" Noah hesitated, then explained softly. "The lady from the HOA, she pushed me." Calvin's eyes narrowed. "She what?" Lillian filled in the details, the grab, the shove, the video. Calvin's jaw tightened, but he crouched beside Noah. "You okay, champ?" Noah nodded, eyes welling. "I didn't do anything wrong." Calvin's hand on his shoulder was firm. "I know, and you won't have to explain yourself to people like that. Not while I'm here." Outside, Geraldine stood on her porch, arms crossed, daring confrontation. Patricia approached. "Geraldine, we all saw the video. What were you thinking?" Geraldine snapped, "Thinking I was doing my job. Kids don't get to run wild. That boy was loitering." Melissa chimed in, "Stop lying. He lives here." Geraldine tapped her clipboard, "Not on my list." Patricia's voice trembled. "You physically attacked a child." Geraldine's chin rose. It was discipline. Somebody had to teach him. The word discipline spread through the growing crowd, phones recording again. Inside, Lillian's phone pinged with messages, one urging her to turn on the news. The TV showed the looped video, the anchor narrating, "Outrage in Bethesda after an HOA president was caught confronting an 11-year-old. Noah flushed. "Everyone's gonna see me like that." Lillian kissed his forehead. "They'll see her, not you." Calvin watched silently, his training keeping him composed. This wasn't just any case. It was his son. But before he could act, flashing lights appeared. 2 squad cars rolling up to Chestnut Drive. Geraldine stepped forward, expecting backup, but the officers, Sergeant Adrian Keller and Officer Renee Cole, approached neutrally. "What's going on?" Keller asked. Geraldine launched into her story, trespassing kids, escalation. But Melissa interjected, "That's a lie. You shoved him. It's on video." Kids held up phones. Cole asked for Noah, and Geraldine tried to block. "I'm the HOA president. If there's a complaint, it comes through me." Patricia shouted, "You assaulted a child. You don't speak for us." Calvin opened the door as the officers approached. "My son was assaulted." They entered, seeing Noah's injury. He recounted the events quietly. Melissa played the video. Keller's jaw tightened. "This qualifies as assault on a minor." Outside, Geraldine paced, muttering prejudicial remarks that drew gasps. The officers returned, detaining Geraldine. "You're being questioned for assault." Her face drained. "What? I'm the victim." Cole guided her to the car amid protests. Neighbors watched, phones capturing it all. Calvin stood at the door, hand on Noah's shoulder, authority shifting palpably. As Geraldine was driven away, the video wasn't contained. It spread, igniting outrage. Inside, Calvin's phone buzzed with calls from deputies warning of national attention. "The Bureau's getting calls, brace for it." Calvin sighed. "Noah doesn't deserve this." But the storm was building, the neighborhood's privacy shattering as news vans arrived. Neighbors clustered, whispering about Calvin's identity. "FBI Director, that's why she's finished." Melissa spoke to a group. She picked the wrong kid. The Desmonds tried normalcy, but notifications piled up. Noah asked, "Is she going to jail?" Calvin replied, "She'll face charges. You're safe. That's priority." Geraldine at the station clung to her story, but evidence mounted. released pending charges. She paced home, phone buzzing with criticism. She called ally Richard Colson. "Defend me," but he sighed. "The video doesn't lie." Betrayal hit hard. The clip went viral. Twitter retweets soaring, TikTok stitches analyzing, news banners flashing. Commentators debated, outrage unanimous. Noah watched the TV, pained. "Why keep showing it?" Calvin assured, "They'll remember the wrongness." Geraldine drafted a statement, posting it online, a misunderstanding, claiming concern for order. But comments tore it apart. Assault, not discipline. Screenshots spread, mocking her. Lillian shook her head. She thought this would work. Calvin let her dig her grave. Prosecutors announced investigation, Carla Mendoza stating serious concerns about assault. Neighbors gathered, Melissa declaring she's done. Geraldine raged, throwing a mug, but demands for resignation flooded in. Calvin received White House calls. They're monitoring. His focus, family. The neighborhood shifted, whispers turning to open discussions. The incident, once local, was national, setting the stage for reckoning. With Geraldine's detention fresh, the neighborhood pulsed with a newfound energy, as if the air itself had been cleared of her oppressive shadow. Willow Creek, once a bastion of enforced tranquility, now buzzed with conversations that spilled from driveways to porches, neighbors who had long suffered in silence finding their voices. Melissa Grant, still reeling from the confrontation, became an unwitting hub, her phone a lifeline to the unfolding drama. As she stood in her yard, replaying the video for the umpteenth time, more residents trickled over, drawn by the gravitational pull of shared indignation. Patricia Nolan, with her decades of residency, shared stories of Geraldine's past tyrannies. The time she fined a family for holiday lights staying up a day too long, or threatened eviction over a child's chalk drawing on the sidewalk. "She's always been this way," Patricia said, her voice carrying across the street, "but shoving a kid, that's the line crossed." Others nodded, adding their own anecdotes. A nitpicked garden, a harassed newcomer, painting a portrait of a woman who wielded HOA rules like a weapon. Inside the Desmond home, the atmosphere was a blend of tension and tenderness. Lillian fussed over Noah's bandage, her medical training kicking in as she checked for infection. "Does it hurt much?" she asked, her touch light. Noah shrugged, trying to be brave, a little. "But mostly I'm mad." "Why did she say kids like you?" Calvin, overhearing, sat beside him. "Some people let fear or prejudice guide them, but that's on her, not you." Noah's eyes searched his father's. "Will everyone think I'm weak because I fell?" Lillian hugged him. "No, they'll see your strength in speaking up." Calvin's phone vibrated incessantly, calls from colleagues blending sympathy with strategy. Deputy Director Roebuck's voice was grave. "It's everywhere, Calvin. Outlets connecting dots to you." Calvin rubbed his temples. "We moved here for normalcy." But normalcy was shattered. News vans parked at the gates, reporters probing for angles. Neighbors whispered Calvin's identity, all mixing with relief. "FBI Director? No wonder she's in trouble." Harold Jennings muttered to a group. Geraldine, released but seething, paced her living room, curtains drawn against prying eyes. Her statement online backfired spectacularly, comments accusing her of gaslighting. She refreshed the page obsessively, each notification a stab. Calling Richard again, she pleaded, "Help me spin this." But his response was cold. "It's indefensible." Alone, she shattered a vase in rage, fragments mirroring her crumbling control. The video's virality accelerated everything. On social media, hashtags trended, #justice for Noah, users dissecting Geraldine's words, linking them to broader issues of bias in communities. TikTok creators reenacted the scene with commentary, educators weighing in on child safety. Cable news looped the clip, experts debating HOA overreach. One anchor noted, "This isn't just assault. It's a symptom of unchecked power." In the neighborhood, an impromptu gathering formed at the clubhouse, Richard chairing amid chaos. "We must address this," he said, gavel banging. Geraldine attended defiantly, smirking, but voices rose, Melissa recounting the shove, Patricia listing harassments. "You've terrorized us," Kevin Ramos added. The vote of no confidence was overwhelming, hands raised in unity. Geraldine stormed out, "You'll regret this." But cheers followed, the community reclaiming its space. Reporters swarmed, Melissa speaking, "This is about accountability." Inside, Calvin fielded more calls, advisors urging statements. "My son first," he insisted. Noah, overhearing, asked, "Will school be weird?" Lillian reassured, "You're brave, they'll see that." Prosecutors moved swiftly, Carla Mendoza reviewing evidence. "We're charging," she announced to media. Neighbors applauded, the tide turning. Geraldine, isolated, drafted defenses, but each deepened her hole. The ripple widened, the neighborhood transforming from fear to solidarity, the revelation of truth binding them. The courthouse in Rockville became the epicenter, crowds swelling as the case compressed into a whirlwind of justice. Geraldine entered, frayed but defiant, beside her attorney. The Desmonds sat composed, Noah between them, his presence a silent force. Judge Whitfield opened, "We hear charges of assault, endangerment, harassment." Prosecutor Mendoza's opening was sharp. "You'll see the evidence, video, witnesses, no excuse for harming a child." Defense countered, "Misunderstanding, not malice." But jurors knew the video, witnesses testified, Melissa detailing the shove, Patricia her history. Noah's account was poignant. She grabbed and pushed. "I was scared." Geraldine's testimony backfired. "I'd do it again." Gasps filled the room. Deliberation was swift. "Guilty on all counts. Judge, accountability has found you." Geraldine protested, but it was futile. Outside, cheers erupted, signs waving. Calvin stated calmly, "Protect children, hold accountable." Back home, the neighborhood lightened, neighbors lingering freely. At dinner, Noah reflected, "Justice means no one's above it." The family found strength, the community voice, prejudice collapsing under truth.
If you liked this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with others so they can learn something from it too.